Everyone treats summer like it owes you happiness. Long days, pool parties, your best life on a loop. So what does it mean when you feel worse? The summer blues are real. It's why summer is one of the busiest stretches of the year for people starting therapy. Therapy is not only for when you're in crisis. Grow therapy is for all the moments when you decide you want more. More support, more clarity, more tools. Mental health isn't a destination you reach. It's something you build, and Grow makes that easier. Grow connects you with thousands of high-quality licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. The therapist you want takes your insurance on Grow. Grow accepts over 125 insurance plans. Sessions average $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/booknow today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/booknow. growtherapy.com/booknow. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
We pray for the security of the Empire.
We pray that our secrets will be kept.
Pray that justice will be dealt and malefactors hunted from realm to realm.
We pray that our enemies shall be vanquished. The Empire will be victorious.
We pray that the Empire shall never fall. We pray that the Empire shall never fall.
Welcome to episode 269 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm Dills, and joining with me is Mr. Trey.
Hello.
We are back with another edition of the Smasher Pass. So the Smasher Pass series we've been doing is we've been going through every single boss in old school RuneScape, but going in like the chronological, the order they were released into the game. And the last episode, the last part of the Smasher Pass series, it was all about the Tombs of Amasket. This episode, we are back to some of the solo bosses. We'll be talking about the Muspah as well as the 4 Desert Treasure 2 bosses. All very cool. And they have like kind of cool lore. It's all kind of connected. And we'll get into all that afterwards. But it's by Smasher Pass, you know, we're pulling out the Dragon Warhammer and deciding whether or not we vibe with the boss.
Why are you even teasing that there's cool lore? You know that we don't know the lore at all.
I read the wiki like literally 15 minutes before we started recording.
Oh, okay.
I'm a professional now. Now, Trey, we got some stuff to kind of talk through before we get to our Smasher Pass part. The first one is we recorded an emergency podcast last week because the Golden Gnomes were out. The Golden Gnomes come out every single year, and it's just this way to celebrate content creators. And guess what? This year, they had a podcasting category. So we had to do an emergency podcast to tell the masses all about this. And we got a lot of feedback on that episode, a lot of comments. Some people were saying that we weren't going to get nominated because we released like an episode every 3 months. So spoiler, we didn't get nominated.
What?
And I think that, I know it's crazy. I don't think it's because we do an episode every 3 months. I think it's because we only opened up 1 pack of trading cards last episode. So I think for this episode, we should do 2.
Yeah.
Kind of see how that goes.
Just like this bit, it didn't work the first time, so we'll double down on it.
Yeah. So I'm going to open my first pack of cards. Are you ready to open your pack of cards?
Absolutely.
I opened it. I got 1 purple, 2 blues, a green, and a gray. Nothing.
Nice.
I'm going to do my second pack.
Ooh, I got prims.
Oh, I got a desert top. That's fun. It's shiny.
Oh, I got Dagonoth Prime.
As I'm listening to you open up your pack of cards, I think this is more of a visual experience than an audio thing.
That was a very terrible pack. Sorry, you can move
too close
on.
to the sun. We might be flying too close to the sun. All right, so let's give a shout out to the real nominees of the best old school RuneScape podcast for the Golden Gnome. So we have the Behe Cast, we have XP Waste podcast, we have Sebe Cast, and then Wall Friends. Yeah, so those are the 4 nominees. It's really cool to see like so many podcasts out there. Yeah, there's so many. Even yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, just to give my 2 cents on this, I think that for me, it has to be between Sabecast and XP Waste, because two of the nominees are people who were grinding and blew up through their podcast, and the other 2 are people who were content creators and then started a podcast. And so for me, I definitely lean towards I would vote for the Sabecast or XP Waste, because to me that's what they are.
They're podcasters, whereas like the other 2, they're I guess they're YouTubers and streamers first. I hope I'm not getting that mixed up. I'll say that I was going through and listening because I hadn't heard of Wall Friends before, and I put on an episode, and I caught my wife laughing. You know how pissed off I was? It was pretty funny, but anyways, good luck to all of our podcast nominees. Now, more than just that is going on, we had a Devblog drop today. Trey, have you had a chance to read through it?
Yeah, no, I read it first thing this morning, and I'm very excited some of the updates.
Well, maybe you can explain it. I've seen some of the pictures. I've seen a bit of the discussions on Reddit. I haven't had a chance to read through the full blog itself. So what kind of stuff is in that blog? Like what has you excited?
So there's 2 big headlines. One small bummer to start off with is that the bingo community bingo feature, which is something they have talked about that they'll be adding to the game, which will allow basically an in-game integration of the clan bingos. They are delaying that till next year, which was heartbreaking for those of us who are usually a part of planning bingos. But they it's kind of nice in the video. They talked about it's just been more work than they planned on, and they're prioritizing other stuff, typical normal stuff that I'm sure everybody in the community will be understanding and patient about. But the 2 things that the big headlines is they are intending in September to release an official Bronzeman mode if it passes the poll.
Okay, let's pause there. Let's talk about bronze. Yeah. Okay, no, what's Bronzeman mode?
So Bronzeman is kind of the gray area between Iron Man and main accounts. So the way the Bronzeman works, and just like Iron Man and hardcore Iron Man, and I think Ultimate Iron Man as well, just like all of these other modes they've added to the game, this started out as like a community, a challenge mode kind of thing that the community made or a content creator made, where they did their own self-restricted account, and now jagex is going to have an official implementation of it. I have no doubt this is going to pass the poll, so I'm going to talk about it like it's coming into the game. But there might be a reason why it won't pass the poll, and we'll get to that in a minute. But so Bronzeman mode, the way Bronzeman mode works is you start out as essentially an Iron Man account. So you can't trade with anybody, you can't buy items off the Grand Exchange. But once you get an item yourself, so you get a Rune Scimitar as a drop, you have now unlocked that, and you're able to trade it with other players or buy it from the Grand Exchange. So what that presents is this hybrid of Iron Man and main mode, where you are still having to get everything yourself the first time, but you're not having to constantly grind out materials. And I'll come out in front of it and say that, and I think I want to say that I've been saying this for a while, but I think that this is potentially the perfect way to experience old school RuneScape.
You have said that before, and I am inclined to agree with you, because the Iron Man mode, and I think mains can start to get this a little bit with the collection log once we got that added to the game. But there's it feels great to unlock those items, and as a main you can just go to GE and buy it. But for my ADHD brain, it's so much easier to lock in on my iron to I want this piece of gear to use it because it feels so good to get that upgrade. But the thing that sucks about an Iron Man and why I'm playing my main right now is because I'm so sick of running out of prayer potions. I want to go kill things. I'm always running out of prayer potions, and I'm like farming for months, and I think I have this unlimited stock of prayer potions, and they're gone in like 2 nights of heavy PvMing, you know?
Yeah, so I've always like thought of Iron Man as, and I think a lot of people don't know this going in, but you know, there's 2 separate challenges that make Iron Man a challenge mode. One of them is that you have to get your items, your PvM items, your gear yourself, and the other is that you have to skill. You just have to skill, because not only do you need the resources like you're talking about, but you also need the levels to make those things yourself. You know, you can't, like, I remember RS3 right before I quit, they added this feature where you could like use someone else's levels to like smith something. It was supposed to be like a form of it was part of the whole, like when they removed free trade and people are like, well, I can't have my buddy smith this thing for me. And it was like, okay, so you can borrow his levels, but he gets the XP for it. It was so weird. But anyways, so the thing is with all of that is I think a lot of people, and I've seen so many irons come up, and a lot of the people that, you know, in the community, and I see on Reddit a lot, these people make irons and they are so like excited at the idea of getting a purple and it being like this account changing item. And I don't think a lot of people make an Iron Man with the understanding that they're going to have to mine granite and blow glass, you know, and those are just the parts of iron that suck. But at the end of the day, Iron Man is a challenge mode. It's supposed to be harder. And, you know, put my boomer hat on. I think a lot of what's happening in the community is people who have played the main game and realize that it's kind of too easy. It's too instant gratification. They want something a little meatier. And so they make an Iron Man, and then they don't like that they have to do skilling. They don't like that they have to interact with the parts of the game that aren't as fun. And so they start talking in the community, posting on Reddit, commenting on Behe videos about how agility should have a 30-minute AFK, 300k XP per hour method because they hate that skill. And don't get me wrong, there's conversations that should be had about different ways that skilling can be better in every aspect of the game. But I think that for a lot of those things, it feels self-imposed because people make iron, because it's kind of this, it feels like this binary of like, you can have everything you ever wanted with the main, or you have to get everything yourself with an iron. And I think that Bronzeman is going to be so appealing to so many people because they want that side of it. That is this, I got this zombie axe and it changes my whole account. I can finally do this content and I love that feeling of Iron Man. I also love the skilling side of it. And so I 100% want to stay in Iron Man, but I think the Bronzeman is going to be so perfect for so many people. And I think if people are coming into the game new, I will probably recommend Bronzeman to them to start with, which I would never do with Iron Man. I would always tell people, don't start with Iron Man because you're going to be so lost and you're going to have to do so much to get to the part of the game where it's fun. But with Bronzeman, you can have the best of both worlds with that. And I'm fully behind a Bronzeman mode. I'm so excited for it.
It sounds awesome because you still have to unlock the items before you can use it. Like, you can't just go out and buy full bandos. You got to kill bandos until he drops the bandos pieces, General Gardner. You know what I mean? Which I think is awesome. So, like, you want prayer potions. I think it's cool because it's going to be, it's going to add, I don't know, it's going to open up these new strategies maybe. Like, do you just make the prayer potion to unlock it? Or is there a way you can like sneakily go kill, I don't know, is there a mob that drops it? Or what if they only drop the 2 doses?
You just have to get one. So yeah, like if you could if you could get like a 1 shark from some random PvM drop, and now sharks are unlocked for the entirety of your account. And you know, something I just thought about with what you're saying with bandos is, what will that mean for dupes? Does that mean that on a Bronzeman, if you get like 3 bandos tacits before you get the chest part, that you can sell that to the Grand Exchange and funnel that into, I mean, yeah, I guess that's what mains do. So yeah, you would be able to
you would sell
your dupes. That would be awesome for Bronzeman.
Yeah, and then maybe when you need to upgrade your, what is it, Torva or whatever it is, you could just purchase them back off the GE with all the money you've got from your dupes and stuff. You don't have to grind out however many sets it is. So I think it's really cool because you still have to unlock. Like, I'm trying to think if there's any broken. Like, I'm sure there will be, and I'm excited to hear about the different strategies. It's one of the things that I think is so cool about all these different game modes. I love hearing UIMs. Like, we have some UIMs in our clan. We love hearing them just talking about. They're just like very mundane mechanics they have to deal with. Yeah,
insane is the word you're looking for.
One time I wanted to invite a UIM on to be like, I want to hear about all the little things, and like, it's boring. There's nothing. And then I was like, well, tell me about them. And they started telling me about all these different stashes they use around the game. And I'm like, that's not boring. That's interesting. What do you mean there's a nest in like Varlamore that you can stash weapons in? What? Like, it's like this bird's nest is at the top of some house. Like, there's these weird things that like no one else ever needs to interact with, but UIMs and irons and eventually Bronzeman, they're going to, I don't know. I love hearing about that sort of stuff. It's cool. This is a sandbox game, and it's like having all these different play styles, I think, is so important to what makes this game special. Helps with the longevity of it.
I'm super excited. I think that it will breathe some life into the game. I think it will be kind of it'll kind of get people off jagex's back who are currently irons and are just always complaining about certain things in the game. I still think that there's going to be the people who make a Bronzeman with all, the stars in their eyes about not having to do all the Iron Man stuff anymore. And then they're still going to go dry at CG. And then they're still going to, like you do still have to get the drop. And like, that doesn't change CG at all. The summer sweep up, they made CG way better. That changes CG, but you still do have to get the drop. And, I don't know. I'm super excited to see other people play it. And I'm super excited for people to get the game mode that I think will accommodate the way they want to play the game the most, which I really do think Bronzeman is. It's not for me personally, but I don't care. I'm just so happy that those people will get that.
Now, not to spend so much time on Bronzeman mode, but there is one like discussion that I saw on Reddit that I think might make the game mode a little bit trickier. And it's this like two versions of Bronzeman mode being discussed. So it's kind of like how we have group Iron Man mode.
I'll get into it. Yeah.
Okay. It's similar. So we have the green helmets and the blue helmets of group Iron Man mode. But Trey, explain what's going on in this situation.
Dills, do you want to hear something stupid?
Maybe. What is it?
Okay. So the next part of this blog is called Unbound Bronzeman mode, which is a Bronzeman who can unlock their items from PvP.
Mm-hmm. That's weird.
That's pretty much it. There's some little nitty gritty restrictions and whatever, but essentially what that is so you could be a PKer account, but you can only use the items that you get from PvP. Which let me start off with. That's a really cool and fun idea. The problem with it is one of the things that makes the difference, people have these conversations a lot, and jagex proposed a bunch of, they wanted to make all of these like Chunkman, they wanted to make all these official game modes. But to me, what the difference between an official game mode and like a community fan mode, you could call it, is the like legitimacy of it, right? Mm-hmm. And this concept of an unbound Bronzeman mode carries no legitimacy with it, because you see someone, like you see an Iron Man with a shadow and you say, wow, they got that item. And you see a Bronzeman with a shadow and you say, wow, they got a purple chest from Toa and that's what popped out, and they got one of the coolest items in the game. But they're introducing this thing where you could, obviously the most obvious thing to anybody, your main has a shadow and you have him kill him in the wilderness and you get a shadow on your Bronzeman. So what's the point? What are we doing? What is the purpose of that? But I do think the idea of an account that can only use the items they get from PvP, or not only, but they have that option, is super cool. But I think that should be like a fan version of it, because like there's no way to track that. There's no legitimacy there.
It's tough.
It's the same. It's the same with Chunkman. Like you can turn off the plugin and run into a different chunk and whatever. Like there's not like official legitimacy. It's all based on if you trust that person, that content creator, or whatever. Like but when it is an official thing, there's legitimacy to it. And I see no legitimacy in this unbound mode. Sorry, I'll stop talking.
No, it is weird. Like you hear that, and I'm sure a lot of people are hearing about this, and they're like, yeah, why would they even add the PvP element to it? Like that's just don't add. Why? Like you don't do that for Iron. Why would you do that for Bronzeman mode? Seems weird. And part of it is like, I don't like when Bronzeman mode it was a video series first, and I can't remember who exactly started the series, but it was a PKer who had started the series. And that was the big gimmick behind it, was unlocking items on their account so that they could then get together like a PK setup, and then they could move to the wilderness, and then they have to PK with this like janky build that they had to go out and unlock. And then they go out and PK and hopefully like transform their build as they killed people. So like the original idea was a PvP like series of PvP. I don't want to say an update because it was just like a video series they were doing. So it was a PvP series at heart. And I think that's why they feel a bit more compelled to like add it, because they know that like the people who started Bronzeman mode would be like, well, you took our idea and then removed the most important part of it. And then you have a whole community of PKers. It's like 7 people maybe, but they have a Discord server. So, but like, you have all these people who are like, well, that sucks. That's, you took Bronzeman mode and made it into something completely different that PvPers can't even enjoy, when originally maybe it was them who were taking advantage of this game mode. But it is weird at the same time. Like the legitimacy of it, I could just, I think there's a good middle ground they could have. Like maybe when you PK someone, you don't get the item unlocks. Maybe you just get like the GP value. Maybe it's like half the GP value. So if you are going to quote unquote transfer money from your main over to your Bronzeman mode, you got to take a big hit. Maybe there's something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, the PvP part gets a bit weird. But I understand that that's the other argument I've heard, is like a lot of PvPers would want to play this game mode for the PvP purposes. But anyways. Yeah,
once again, I have to go back to legitimacy, because a lot of people say, I actually saw someone in our clan earlier. They said mains or they said Iron Men are people with no self-control, which is to say that, and they were joking, they were just having fun with it. But the idea being that, you're playing Iron, like you could play exactly the same on an Iron Man as you do a main, but because you have no self-control, you have to put these restrictions on yourself.
Oh, true. And you know what? Some people legitimately had to because of like gambling, the duel arena, or death matching, whatever.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. And I think that you can play any of the existing game modes as a main account, and that's true. And you can do a Bronzeman PvP locked account as as a main account. You can do that, and that can be your own little fun thing you do. And that's what all of those those challenge modes you're talking about. Obviously, they have to be a main account to be able to pull that off. But once again, it's about that legitimacy of when people see you, they know that. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like Iron Man is just for bragging rights. Other people see you, but it's also for yourself. I mean, for me, it's for myself. It's that knowing that me personally is taking satisfaction, knowing that I got these items myself. But obviously, I'm not pretending that when we have a clan event, I don't put on my most rare items so I can flex. Like, yeah, I got this on my Iron Man. But it just, I don't know. Yeah, you want to hear the real kicker with all this, Stills, with the Unbound thing, is that the Unbound Bronzeman and the normal Bronzeman are being pulled together under the same question. Whew. So they will either live together or die together.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. Now the counter argument, and then we can move on. Talking about like the legitimacy of stuff, there's a whole market of like Iron Man buying and trading items using the group Iron Man mechanics. There's like there's a whole Discord you can go on, and it's like I don't remember exactly how it works, but I think like you can join up with other booger helmets. That's what they call it. So maybe that's the downfall. If you're going to buy items, they're going to call you booger helmets. You got a green group Iron Man helmet. It just means you like broke your prestige or something weird happened. But you can leave one group and join another or something like that. So there is a market for like trading and selling Iron Man or group Iron Man items. And
anyways, that's exactly the argument with Bronzeman. Is they're going to be the unrestricted one, the Unbound, it's going to just be this big joke of like, oh yeah, you think you're a Bronzeman, but like, oh, did your main give you that fang? Like, I don't know. It's just going to be a laughing stock.
It's a very interesting discussion. Love to hear what others think about this Bronzeman mode versus the Unbound. I think Unbound's a terrible word. It reminds me of Avenged Sevenfold, and they just put out a really weird album lately that I don't know. If you listen, you know what I'm talking about. What the heck is that? It's weird.
All right, let's move on to something much happier, something near and dear to my heart. So I've been talking with you. We've had it on our like short list for a long time of episodes we want to do, which is about all of the game jams, and hopefully that will come in the future. But there is something that was in a game jam, the very first game jam that I have always wanted in the game. It's always been my like number one. If I ran jagex for a day, this is what we're putting in the game. And that is dogs.
Dogs?
Dogs are coming to RuneScape finally.
We have guard dogs.
We have guard dogs, we have stray dogs, we have the bloodhound, we have the hell puppy. But now, in addition to getting a pet cat, you will be able to get a pet dog. And I'm not making any claims about which one of those is better, but I have 2 of one of them and none of the other. But yes, dogs are coming to RuneScape. The quest is called A Rough Situation. I was looking through the list of all the breeds that are coming, which side note, is funny to me that cats is just cats and they're different colors, but dogs, you get different breeds. But regardless of that, yeah, dogs are coming and they will be similar. They're going to feel like cats, and as opposed to like, a pet like the grotesque guardian pet. It will feel much more like a cat, where it will follow you around, and you won't have to. They said you will not have to give it as much like attention and food like you do with cats. So I say if you're going to do that, you might as well just remove that, from normal cats, because it's weird that one has it and the other doesn't. But anyways. You will have to give them some care.
You do have to be a little bit more like cats are a bit more, not like they're demanding. Dog's gonna love you. A cat, you got to work for it a little bit more.
Maybe that's fair. So in kind of in the same vein, a lot of people a lot of terrible people see cats as this utility in the game that they trade them in for death runes, and you will have that option with dogs. You will be able to trade them in for blood runes.
Whoa! So is jagex like confirming dogs are a tier above cats? Is that what they're saying here? I'm curious. Like, what do you think this quest is going to be like? Because I feel like there's 2 options. It's either another quest similar to Gertrude's, where it's like short and sweet, nothing crazy. It's like it's one own standalone. Or I feel like because we've been everyone loves dogs, and we've been waiting for dogs, man's best friend, yada yada yada. The other end is like, does this need to be a very cinematic, well-written quest? Does it need to be like, do we want to be blown away by the quest? Like, is there what's your expectation of the quest? That should be my question to you, Trey, and then anyone else who's listening as well. I want to know it all. I want to know about the dog quests.
Yeah, and I also want to know if now, you can also comment if you now think that we're eligible for a Golden Gnome nomination.
You think they'll go back and fix it?
Oh, they go back and edit their comment? Oh, that would be pretty funny.
I had a friend back in a friend back in school. We were trying out for the baseball team. I wasn't going to make it, but I threw this gnarly throw from like the other side of the field. I almost dislocated my shoulder. I felt it when I threw it. But anyways, I made the cut because of that. And then I had my friend Andrew, and he did not make the cut. And then he started crying. And then the teacher was like, oh, you know what? You were supposed to be added. There's actually like an extra one that we forgot to add to it. So you can join. Which was very nice.
Dills, I think she made that up.
I mean, he came to the games. He didn't play, but he came to the games. So
Shout out Andrew. We have 5 bosses to get to. We have to keep moving.
Okay, so tell me your expectations of the quest for the dog.
Well, the reason I was saying to comment is before I answer, because I can tell you exactly, because they said it in their video. I can't find it on the blog, but they said in the video this will be essentially the same difficulty and length as Gertrude's cat. This will be very similar.
They already said it.
Yeah, they said it's not going to be a Grandmaster quest. It's not going to be anything like that. It will be accessible early on in your account, just like Gertrude's cat.
Sometimes those are like end up being like surprisingly really well done. Like I think Getting Ahead, I did that quest and I was like very impressed by how well written it was. Like it was a good quest. It's its own little standalone short quest, but it's fun.
Man, there was something else in that video that they talked about that I would so love to talk about with you for an hour, but I know we have to move on.
Okay, can you tease it and maybe we'll do it next episode if it's still relevant in 3 months?
Sure. So Mod Kieran said in the video that he disagrees with the people who complain about consistency in the game. And me most of all, I complain about all the time how this game is so inconsistent with itself. You know, like for example, when this new thing comes out with the dogs, they're literally releasing dogs, and it's going to be the version of cats where they learned all their lessons. So it's not going to be as tedious to train them. The quest will probably be much more interesting than Gertrude's cat. You know, and so for a player starting a new account, you have these cats and dog quests, and one of them feels much cleaner, much more fleshed out, and so. But Mod Kieran was saying that he doesn't believe that the game should have that consistency. That that they should go back and change things to be consistent. But we literally we cannot talk about that.
The quick note is that message is also very inconsistent with their thinking because they update stuff all the time too. They kind of pick and choose, like Chambers, and you know what I mean. Like they just did CG.
Yeah, but
anyways, maybe discussion for another day.
Yeah, it's a discussion for another day. So just going back to the dogs. First off, a few breeds that jump out. They have a whole list of breeds. Some of the ones that jump out, I was very excited to see Shepherd is listed because I have 2 Aussies. So I will be very excited to add either Heidi or Riley to the game. But also there's a pug, which I'm very excited for. Ooh, and Chihuahua. Anyways, there's a bunch of different dog breeds coming. I hope that whatever your furry friend at home is, that is in the game. It looks like they have a pretty good selection here. So hopefully they have that for everybody. They don't. Mm-hmm. Oh, they do have. Okay, they have a lab. They have a golden retriever.
I got myself.
They don't have a golden retriever.
Ooh, well, it's labs and golden retrievers are so similar, just long hair.
How dare
you?
A golden retriever is the most dog there is. That's crazy. They don't have one. Anyways, okay. So you want to hear the controversial part of this announcement?
Okay.
So
they don't die of old age, do they? Because that's fun. You have them out for too long, and they just like start walking slower and slower.
Yeah, I was gonna buy a bond this month, but I had to pay for my dog bill in game. No, nothing like that. So, in addition to the same functionality that you have with every other pet in the game, where it'll follow you around and do nothing else, the dog will have something that no other pet in the game has, which is that it will function as a spade for you. It will be able to dig up treasure trails when you're hunting clues.
Oh, that reminds me of Fable 2. That's so cool. I love that.
So we have the first ever, the first step down the potentially slippery slope of pets having utility, aka summoning is coming to the game. We have it finally. Taming didn't pass the poll, but here we go. We finally have taming in the game. Your pets can dig up your clue scrolls. That has been something that I've seen people saying, is that it's a slippery slope. Oh, now I have to have this pet out because it's the most efficient. That's the meta. And I do kind of agree in the sense of if only these pets have this utility. But the 2 things I'll say to that is, A, I would love for every pet to have this level of a utility. I know they've talked about the giant mole should be able to do this as well. The bloodhound, but I think the bloodhound can do that. I'm not sure. I do think that it would be cool for other other pets, even all pets, to have a utility. But the most important thing about this, and the reason why it doesn't bother me very much, is because it's such a small thing. It's just a spade. A spade is worth like 3 GP. It's such a small thing. It's not I mean, yes, it's technically like a meta. And yes, it'd be nice to, once pets don't get lost on death, it'll be nice to not have to forget your spade, blah, blah, blah. But, it's not making like the game significantly better. It's not even making the game like incrementally better. It's a very minuscule thing. And if you lay out the tools, like all of the tools you have in the game, if your pets could suffice for a lot of those, like if the tangle root could pull the weeds from your patch, if you forget a spade, like stuff like that would be cool. But it does add.
It's like Power World. Power World's so hot right now.
Well, and there you go. Now you're talking about taming. Now you're talking about summoning, and that's where no, I'm serious. That's the slippery slope argument for this.
And you know what? The slippery slope. I see how people talk about the Zilliana pet, and I don't know if we need that.
That's true. That would be.
We need that sort of stuff. Anyways, that's probably enough about pets for now. We have 5 bosses we need to talk about for this episode, so let's move over to the Smasher Pass segment, and we can tackle those.
Don't forget to comment. You, in addition to all the other stuff we said, put a picture of your pet. That's what we really want to see.
Yeah, send us pictures of your pet. TheWildernessPodcast at gmail.com. And
we'll share them on the show.
Describe it on air.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll make an album and put it in the show notes. No, we won't.
That would be such a fun episode.
We are talking about 5 bosses, and that is the Phantom Muspah, Duke Sucellus, the Leviathan, the Whisperer, and Vardorvis. In a way, these bosses are all connected, but it's mostly just through the lore and, like, I guess, location. But yeah, let's start off with the Phantom Muspah, because this one did come out first. It came out in January 11th, 2023. I went through and I looked up the lore behind some of these bosses, because in my head, one of the notes I had was I liked the lore of what I knew about the Phantom Muspah. It was like this, it's a Phantom Muspah. It's not the Muspah. It's like a phantom version of it. And I remember thinking like the boss we fight is just a fraction of the strength of what a real Muspah was. And then I went back and read through some of the lore, and I think I got it a little bit wrong. And I'm probably, as I go explaining it, I'm probably going to continue to get some pieces wrong. I've always found it hard to follow the lore. I think it's great. I think it's really cool and interesting, but the way it is shared in game, I find it to be very bland and not very, it doesn't pull me in. I'm not like searching for all these lore and like information. People do that with like the Dark Souls games, and like that's you explore the environments and you can learn about the world and stuff. I find it's not as, and we have all these quests too, so sometimes it doesn't always stick with me just the way it's explained. We'll keep it brief because we want to get into the nitty gritty of the boss. So I'm gonna make this pretty quick. But we do have to go back 8,000 years to the very first age of the world of RuneScape. We have all these different ages. So the first age is where these like elder gods existed, and they created the gods that we have and some other races as well. But one of the races they created was this race called the Majorate. Zamorak, the god Zamorak, was a Majorate. Majorate are these like really old race of beings. They're very powerful magic users. They can do a bunch of wacky stuff. So the lore behind Muspah is it has to do with like one of these Majorates going to sleep. So basically they like locked this chamber, and this Majorate was kind of on guard watching the chamber because there was a monster in that chamber named Duke Sucellus. Anyways, so he was like kind of watching him, and I guess the Majorate are like really sleepy boys. Well, they're old, so they're just like old men. They fall asleep really easily. So he had a nap. He took a nap while he was watching the Duke there. You know how we like sleepwalk, or like my kid throws fists when he sleeps in our bed. He's constantly like punching me in the face. It's brutal. I don't know what he's doing. Since they're like really good with magic, every now and then they like maybe morph into something. So he ends up turning into the Muspah that we fight in the quest. And then once you kill the Muspah, it leaves behind like an essence, which turns into the Phantom Muspah. this is what I don't understand. Is the Phantom Muspah like a smaller, a less powerful version of the real Muspah? Because we fight the real Muspah in the quest, and it is actually physically easier. But I can't remember how it's explained, because there's this thing that we've chatted about this before, where it's like, what do we call it? Like the scale down theory, where they scale things down in the game versus the lore. So like they kind of condense things. When you go to Varrock, in the lore, Varrock is so much bigger. There's so much more buildings and stuff going on, but they kind of just remove all the filler stuff and they just have the essentials, banks and like the churches and stuff. So they add like the essentials of the area, but they kind of trim everything else so it makes sense in the game. You don't want to spend like 5 minutes walking through the Varrock streets trying to get to the other end of the city. So an example of this is in one of the books. It talks about traveling from Falador to Taverley, and it takes them about 3 days. In game, that's definitely not the case, right? So I don't know if they're doing the same thing with like raw power, where like we fought the Muspah. Yes, it was easier, but in the quest they pretend it's harder. I can't remember. But anyways, that's the lore of the Muspah. It's like this leftover remains of the Muspah that we killed, which woke up the Majrit, and then he ran away. Yeah, so that's the lore behind it. I think it's kind of cool that if we are fighting a scaled down version of it, that's pretty cool. I love the idea of like you're fighting some essence of a god, but it's like the shard of Saren for the Song of the Elves. You're fighting like this little shard of the god Saren, and you know that's how difficult. Saren's so strong that just a shard of her gives us a run for our money. You know what I mean? Kicks our ass a bit. Yeah, so that's the lore behind the Muspah. That's the Dill's interpretation. That's what we should call it, is the Dill's interpretation of the Muspah. RuneScape 3, things are slightly different. They kind of go back and forth between RuneScape 3 being like, it's not an alternate timeline, but like things are written a little bit differently there. There's no Zaya or Varlamore like we have it in OSRS. And I think the idea is like it's like a lost land that somehow got forgotten between the two games.
They just forgot about it.
So the lore behind RuneScape 3 is one of the elder gods, Ma, created the Muspah when Ma was having a nightmare. So in OSRS, it's a Majrit. So okay, sorry, quick spiel into the lore because I thought it was neat, and then I started reading up on it. My other notes are I like that they have like this a speed run achievement that if you complete it, you get a recolor for the pet. I think that's pretty cool. I think the first time we see stuff like that is with Toa, but this is like the first time non-raid that I believe. The pet's named is Muffin. That's awesome. And I love that you get a bow from it, and the Venator bow. The bow looks sick. It sounds sweet. It's 66 mil, so I haven't bought it yet, and never got to use it, but it looks pretty cool. And then my con that I have is that the unique, it's kind of lackluster. Like you don't get the bow as a drop. You have to get like 5 of these shards. And then you can like create the bow or something. That's a little bit less exciting, but jagex experiments a lot with different bosses on like dry protection, quote unquote, how to make sure someone doesn't go like 2,000 kills without seeing something cool. So this probably, just them testing out new ideas, but that's my quick little run through of the Muspah. I really just think of it as like similar to Zulrah in a lot of ways. It's the solo boss. It has consistent money. The mechanics aren't too difficult, but difficult enough that like the first few kills is you might find a bit challenging as you're getting a hang of the fight. It has this cool mechanic in the fight where you got to switch you have to like drain its prayer somehow. You got to smite it. So you can do that through sapphire bolts because they have a special effect where they drain prayer. Some people switch their smite on when they do an attack to drain their prayer. That's a cool mechanic, but outside of that, it's fine. What do you think, Trey? What are your thoughts of the Phantom Muspah?
I really like Phantom Muspah. It was, I think, when a lot of people attribute the kind of a shift in the game to Zulrah, and we talked about that on our Zulrah episode, the first of the blue collar bosses, bosses dropping super useful items and also just raw GP items like dragon plate legs. Going into Vorkath, and I think jagex either course corrected or listened to the community or whatever it was. And we didn't get another blue collar boss until Muspah. And to this day, I would say those are kind of the holy trinity of the blue collar bosses. You go in, do your shift, get 150K per kill. And, you know what you're getting before you go in. You might get a unique here and there that'll give you a little hit of dopamine to keep going. But the fight itself, I find really fun. I've only ever done Bofa only. I did that on my main and I did it on my iron. I haven't tried like freezing. I haven't like tried mage only or anything like that. The fight itself is pretty fun when it gets down to the smite phase. And there's some fun ways. There's 3 different ways you can drain prayer. Most people use the sapphire bolts. That's kind of that's what you should do regardless. But you can also use greater corruption, which since you're already presumably on the Arceus spellbook to use Thralls and Death Charge, then you already have the runes for greater corruption, so you can cast that. That causes a corruption effect on Muspah, which then drains its prayer. And the third way is that you can use the smite prayer, which I will say I do think you should always do all 3 of them. I don't think it's much extra. And the smiting, and I think this was their intention, the smite phase is meant to kind of work a little bit of that prayer flicking into your repertoire, gets you some easy practice at it. There's no punishment to you if you mess it up. But going to the drops, like I said, this is a blue collar boss. You get some crazy drops there. You get all of like so much just raw GP material, so many resources. Some of the other drops, there's the Ancient Essence, which is used to upgrade your imbued heart to saturated heart. That's the only thing anybody ever uses it for. I guess it's also used to charge the Venator Bow. And then we get to the first in a series of don't worry, I'll save the full rant for when we get to Vardorvis. But we have jagex going down this path that I will never stop critiquing them for, which is dropping these items in multiple parts. I'll just get out ahead of it and say, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I can't stand it.
About the 5 essence you need to make the bow.
So yes. So the drop from Phantom Muspah is the Venator Bow. And that's made by getting 5 drops of the Venator shards. And then you combine them into the bow. And so where it stands, when it first, there was a period there where the Venator shards were like 6 mil. But now that because they've added some places and the Venator bow has gone up in value, they're like over 10 mil. So you're getting a pink beam every time. That's nice. But yeah, you get these 5 separate drops on 5 separate kills that you very anticlimactically use the items on each other to create the bow. And they're 1 in 100 each. And I will say I've gone very dry on both my accounts for Venator shards, so maybe I'm a little jaded, but it's just, I think you said it yourself, it's just so much less exciting to get 1/5 of the drop. Even if it was a 1 in 500, like I said, we'll talk more about this with every single DT2 boss, but I will die on the hill that it is not fun to get a fraction of the drop you want. Dry protection be damned, all that stuff out the door. It's just not fun to get a shard of a drop. And
it feels weird. Like on an iron, we were talking earlier about being able to use someone else's skills to do things. On my iron, I have a bank tab that I have like 5 different items that are like, I don't have the level, I can't do anything with this stuff. So it's just going to have to sit there until and when I got them, I was like, I should be excited, but I know I don't even get to use this for a while. So it's like, I guess the Venator shards similarly, get the first one. You're like, okay, let's put that in the tab and do it 4 more times.
Yeah, exactly. I will, on a side note, I will completely on the other side of it. I love when an item drops in its damaged form and you do have to use your skills to repair it and make it usable, because God forbid you actually use your skills in this game. People complain about that too, but I do think that part I do love, and that feels, because you still Torva comes damaged, but it's still this pink loot beam is this huge, GP drop. It's this one item, but what it comes down to is at the spirit of PvM and RuneScape. Skilling is all about this constant predictable, consistent progression. And PvM is all about these just spikes, this like downtime and these spikes. And that thing you just keep saying to yourself, it could be any kill. It literally, your first kill has the same odds as your 1,000th, your 10,000th kill. And I feel like that just throws a monkey wrench in it to have it be in parts, because when you're dry, when I went to 600 KC at Phantom Muspah before my first shard drop, and it's like the feeling of going dry for 1/5 of the drop and knowing you could go that dry for every piece of the drop. Or, it's just like that, telling yourself, the way to motivate yourself when you're dry at something in PvM is you just keep telling yourself, it could be any drop. Anytime I just keep pushing, it could be any drop. But when it's not that, it ruins that whole appeal to me. And I hate that so much. I think it's one of the worst things they've added. And they did it all in the name of dryness protection. And I really need someone who's smarter than me to explain to me how 5 drops of 1 in 100 is more likely than 1 drop of 1 in 500. I feel like I'm missing something there. I might be stupid.
I think it's just more consistent. Like you're probably more, sooner to go on rate. It is super weird. And Muspah itself is a weird boss, because we didn't even talk about the other unique it drops. And because it does, the uniques don't feel like uniques. I think that's the big problem. The other one is this ancient icon. It's this piece, kind of like it's a broken emblem that you attach to your ancient staff, right? That purple staff, and it becomes a one-handed scepter, the ancient scepter. So, you can, and then with we're going to talk about it, but with the Desert Treasure 2 bosses, they give another upgrade to it to make it even better. And I think that in itself is awesome, but it's a 1 in 50 drop. And it's like, it's not jagex itself. I'm reading the wiki. It's valued at 80K from jagex's side. So it's like, that's not, they wanted, it's 1 in 50. They want you to get it pretty easily. So this is it's hard. None of the uniques are very exciting, even if they're great.
Yeah, so it is that consistent money, and it's a great boss for a main because the Venator shards are tradable, and they are I think 10 to 15 mil. So it is great because you get this consistent GP with these spikes, kind of like Zulrah, but even more so, because Zulrah, the uniques can be like a mil, but you're getting these 15 mil spikes. So it's a great boss for a main, and I would say, and this is something we can kind of debate, I would say it's a necessary boss for an Iron account or a non-main account. We'll have to have a new word for with Bronzeman. I feel like we can't say mains and irons. We have to say
hey, Bronzeman. Maybe Muspah was exciting for the Bronzeman because you need 1 shard and then you get the Venator bow.
Oh yeah, you can just buy all 5 of them. Ooh, that's a good idea. Interesting. Do you want to talk about the Venator bow?
I've never got to use it. I've only seen it. It looks cool. It's like a multi-hitting bow. I love multi-hitting weapons. We got a new one with the hollowed, Hollow Fell or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. There's a new sword that came out with an update with the Worm's Crag, and I love that sword. I just haven't had a chance to use it yet. And I should mention the way you hold the Venator bow, freaking awesome. You look so cool holding that thing. You hold it sideways, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, side note, how does only 5% of the weapons in this game give you a unique animation when you're holding it?
I know. And they're so, it's pretty exciting when you can.
I feel like it would have added 100 times more excitement to the Raids 4 Mega Rare, that mace, if you would just had to drag it behind you. You had to use both your hands and it's just on the ground. You're dragging it behind you.
You just swing it when you're walking, it rocks by. That'd be cool. Yeah. I love how we should do an episode on weapons. I love with the shadow when you hold it up to shoot and your cape starts there's a breeze of wind that hits you and your cape starts fluttering in the wind. I love that part. It's really cool. Yeah. Well, anyways, anything else you want to say about Muspah before we give our Smash or Pass rating?
No.
The only other thing I should mention is it comes from a quest called the Secrets of the North. So I was reading through the wiki pages that were related to Secrets of the North. Funny enough, I think the only time it says anything about the North is at the very end, where the villain, the Majret who is napping, leaves and he's like, I will see you up north. Could they not have thought of a better name? Secrets of the North. You don't learn about any secrets of the North. You learn, Anyways, I'm an idiot. Let's move on. To our Smasher Pass verdict. Trey, what are you going to Smasher Pass the old Phantom Muspah?
Yeah, no, I definitely smash. I enjoyed it on my main, and I enjoyed it on my iron. I know I just said that the Venator bow is an essential item, but it's not, in the sense that you can definitely do everything in the game without it. I just think it's a really fun weapon, and it was enough motivation for me to keep grinding. And just like the other blue collar bosses, you finish the grind and you look at your loot tab and you're like, ooh, this is nice. I got to go process all these items and alcohol these alkables, and it's a good time. I definitely smash. One of my favorites, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do, because like on a personal level, like I'm probably not going to do this boss that much. I'm not super into like the blue collar Vorkath and Zalra. Like I'll do them to do them, but maybe I'm just so busy these days. Second kid coming along the way. You know what I mean? I don't always get the chance to sit down for an hour or two to make these bosses feel impactful. Sometimes it feels a bit more impactful to send like 5 kills and get nothing or get something big.
That's so funny, because that's like the whole appeal of the blue collar bosses to me personally, is like, at least I'm going to get something. You know, I get on for 5 kills and it's like, okay, I didn't get a unique, but you know, I got some dragon plate legs. At least that feels like I did something tonight.
You know, there was a time where every time I was taking a number 2 in the mornings, I would do Zalra kills, and I wanted to see how long it would take me to get like a 25 mil loot tab or something. So I guess you're right there. I guess I will smash it. I don't have any qualms with this boss. It's just there's so many bosses in this game. It's just too many bosses to do. So yeah, I'll smash it as well. Let's do a double smash for the good old Phantom Muspah. Well, next up we have a group of 4 bosses. So there's a lot of things that we should just talk about that kind of apply to every one of these bosses. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, or maybe we walk through each of the 3 bosses and then talk about the loots, because they share these similar mechanics with all the loot. I would say the uniques, they're the same but different across the 4 bosses. So the 4 bosses all come from this the huge quest, the Desert Treasure 2, the Fallen Empire. So it's all the lore is like kind of going back to like a lot of it, looking at Zeros, the Zerosian Empire, which it was a big part of the Third Age. Let me quickly give some context, some quick lore about it. We have to go back 8,000. No, not that far. Basically, the RuneScape timeline is broken up into these different ages, and I think we're in the 5th age. RuneScape, I think, is on the 6th age. Maybe they've even surpassed that. In the Third Age, though, was like this big world war that broke out called the God Wars. And basically, up until that point, you had all these different empires. You had Saradomin was this actual being who was on our planet, and then Zeros was another god, and a bunch of these gods were kind of just mingling around, making empires. Boom, big fight happens. So Zamorak was a part of the Zerosian Empire, but he wants to like grow in power. He has some like god weapon, some spear or something. And he goes to ascend to godhood, which ends up like fracturing the Zerosian Empire. Zamorak becomes a god. Now they're all fighting. Everyone hates each other. So that was like this huge event that happened, and like the world got destroyed basically. And we're kind of living in this rebuilt world, built upon like the ruins of these old empires. When you go into the wilderness and it's all just like on fire and all these buildings broken, that whole wilderness area was like part of the Zerosian Empire. And that was like the way the wilderness is now is basically just because all the fighting that happened during the God Wars. It's pretty cool stuff. I hope if we get more games set in the universe that we do get to explore the God Wars, because it's cool. It seems pretty cool. We have so much linking to it. So that's what all 4 of these bosses are tied to, because they were all like a part of the Zeros Empire. They were like generals. They fought in armies. They like had their own troops. They were all helping. And basically, there was like a medallion that Zeros gave to each 4 of them. And throughout the quest, you're trying to put this medallion together. And doing so, you got to fight these 4 different bosses. It's a really cool quest. I love how it's broken up into like 5 different parts, but 4 of those parts is exploring the areas that you then have to fight a boss at the end. Very cool stuff. So first one, let's talk about Duke Sucellus. I think it's one of the... It's a gross looking boss, but I think it's so cool. And the quick lore behind it, he was like this like general or some leader of Zeros' 6th Legion. One of the 12 demonic legions from Infernus sent to Gielinor at the beginning of the Second Age. Sounds very Warhammer. Anyways, love that. I'm so into that. Should read more. Anyways, he's trapped in the area that Muspah is also, and like he starts like eating people or something and turns into this like very grotesque looking monster. And it's really like attached into the wall, which is like, I don't know. That's pretty cool. And I guess to set up the fight, the boss doesn't move. He's stuck in the wall and you're going to fight him there the whole time. But there's a bit of a prepping stage and it's like people love it or they hate it. So the prepping stage is you got to go pick some mushrooms from a wall and you're dodging these like these attacks that are like shooting out of the wall and stuff and on the ground. You have to dodge all that, get some materials, mine a rock and make these potions. And then you got to use the potions on Duke Sucellus because he's sleeping. By the way, he's like full on snoring and his lips are kind of like jiggle, you know, when someone's like snoring and blowing the air out of their mouth. It's pretty cute. It's a little adorable. You get the potions, use the potions to wake him up. Boom. Now you're fighting. And what I really liked about this fight is it's a flinching boss. Like the idea is he's going to slam on the ground and he's not actually targeting you. He's just slamming on the ground. And you basically just need to get in, attack him, and then hide behind this wall before he slams. It's kind of cool. I love, like, you get into a really nice rhythm of it where you're like attack, dodge, attack, dodge, attack. Like you fall into this like Zen state where you can just, I don't know. I like the flow state it puts you in. This ugly looking boss. If you don't know what it looks like, you should go look it up. It looks pretty rough, but it's cool. It's such a grotesque looking thing. Yeah, and then I guess you just kill it. What am I missing, Trey? Anything I'm missing about the old Duke Sucellus?
Why do you keep calling him Duck?
Duck, I don't know. It's C's in his name. Okay, dyslexia or something.
So I love Duke Sucellus. Well, probably, I mean, definitely top 10 bosses in the game for me. Maybe top 5. Listen. A lot of people hate on it because it's by far the easiest fight of DT2. It is such a simple fight. People call it boring, all that kind of stuff. I love it. I love it so much. It's such a, like, what I get on RuneScape to do kind of boss. Like, same with Phantom Muspah. Like, I don't know. Some people just get so, like, they play this game for different reasons, and that's great. I'm glad that there's something for everybody in this game. And when a boss isn't super engaging, people just hate on it. But the simplicity of it, the rhythm of it, like, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I am good at the game when I kill Duke. Like, I feel like I'm playing the game to my max potential, which is I'm not very good at the game. And this is a boss that I feel like I can optimize in a way that I feel like I'm doing good at.
Yeah. Being able to self-optimize without watching a guide, I think, is a huge point you just made, because I feel the same way. When I'm doing like an hour-long session, by the end of it, you get into the zone and you feel really good because just the pacing of it, and you find ways to pull off an extra hit there and here and there, and I can eat here to save, whatever.
Exactly.
You feel good.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that about getting an extra hit off, because just a little when the day the quest came out and we were all in Discord trying to kill the boss for the first time. On the very first time killing the boss, shout out Strosity. He's been on the podcast before. He was in Discord with me and he was killing it for the first time, and he was just like, oh yeah, I think I can get another attack in there, and it was just like tick perfect. And I was just like, what? No, you can't do that. What? And just blowing me out of the water and knowledge and skill in the game. But yeah,
super duper shout out to Strassi. We vote him a bunch of those over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is the real hot take. I will defend the prep phase. I find the prep phase of Duke pretty cool. And like, I did all of, like the majority of the kills I've ever done at Duke are before the changes. And so for people who don't know, you have this prep phase where you have to run past these obstacles. You're talking about the flinching part of it has this rhythm, and there was this rhythm with the kills where now it's kind of inconsistent. But I'm not going to pretend to complain about it, because it is faster and you get to the good part faster. So I'm not going to say they ruined the boss or anything.
If you want to just keep killing before the change, you had to stop, go make some more potions to wake them up again.
But yeah, I really enjoy the Duke fight. It just, I don't know. It's like one of those warm blanket bosses in RuneScape. Just like, I think Muspah I'd put in the same category, but even more so Duke. It's just like, here we go. The only thing, and it's the same thing with Muspah, as someone who spent a lot of time at both of those bosses, is, and I think there is a plugin for this. I'll say the same thing about all of God Wars. When you have these bosses in the snow and the whole room is just white and you're grinding it for hours, it is hell on the eyes. I do wish that maybe we could get some, I don't know. I feel like I've seen a RuneLite plugin. I don't want the one where it like makes the entire like low detail, or I think there's one that takes it even further where like the whole screen is black except for the things you're interacting with, which, you know,
I use an app on my computer called Flux, like f.lux. And it just like, I have it synced to the sun. So when the sun goes down, the blue light starts toning it down. So we're going to move on to the Whisperer. We're going to go through the 4 bosses. We're going to talk about what they have going on with their drops, and then we'll go back and do our smasher pass for each one of them. So let's talk about the Whisperer. Similar in lore in the sense that it was like a Zerosian thing person, and they were like exploring something, and there's like a shadow realm that they were able to get this crystal for, and then ended up corrupting like the area, and it corrupted the Whisperer herself, turning her into this like shadow being. Again, Dill's interpretation of the lore. And this is what I probably have the least amount of experience with. But one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is like you have to bring, so in the quest, you get this crystal and it helps you go between the shadow realm and stuff. And you're constantly like, in the quest, you're in this city, you go into the shadow realm because some areas are blocked off in the regular realm, but not in the shadow realm, and vice versa. Like there's weird things you got to go back and forth, like doing things. And that kind of also that mechanic comes into the fight where you're fighting this Whisperer, this magical being thingy. But then every now and then there's things that are in the shadow realm that you either can't see unless you use the item, or you can't interact with. Using this item. So that's like one of the notes that I'm like not a huge fan of. I don't like bringing in like I don't know. It doesn't feel, it's like the friggin' rock hammer when I go kill gargoyles. I always forget it. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like it should be part of the fight. Maybe it's because I haven't done it a whole lot, but yeah, there's a lot of going into the shadow realm, maybe seeing where to hide or what to target, and then going back into the real realm, because you're like not just managing health. There's like a sanity bar. I don't remember exactly what they call it, but there's like a sanity thing you're having to like. You don't want to max out either because that'll get you killed or whatnot. But yeah, thoughts on Whisper? Anything that you want to add?
Yeah. So when I was thinking about the 4 bosses, I have a pretty clear opinion on the 3 of them. Whisper is one I'm kind of torn on, mostly because I kind of have avoided it for a lot of the time I've played this game, because it's one of the few places in the game that has always felt like, you know, usually we say so much like in our community and like maybe on the podcast, like you don't need the best gear in the world to do these bosses, right? Like you can do it with lower gear. Don't make yourself miserable grinding out Phantom Muspah for 25 Venator shards so you can afford to get, you know, an arc light or a ember light so that you can kill Duke. Like, so that's a terrible example, but you know, but all that to say, the Whisper is one of the places it always felt like I didn't want to grind it until I had a shadow, because from what everybody had said, it was a night and day difference to kill it with the shadow. And that is something that I never like in RuneScape. RuneScape is always so good about it not feeling like that. Like, obviously better weapons are better, but you can still get the kill with lesser gear. And that's, of course, that's still true with the Whisper. But the way that people described it, it was significantly better with a shadow, to the point where you didn't even want to kill it until you had a shadow. And so I avoided it for a long time. But on my Iron Man, it was like, well, it's not, I'm not going to go, like, I'm not going to grind Toa for a shadow just to kill a Whisper. Obviously, it's not just what it's for, but it's like, I'm not going to lock myself out because I don't have a mega rare. And,
that's crazy.
you know, so you know, I kill it. I kill it with the Toxic Trident, and it is slower, and the ending does feel more of a DPS check than it would with the shadow. And obviously, you know, kind of the smoothing over of that transition is the Eye of Ayak, which is now in the game. Which is this mage weapon that was supposed to be right in the middle between a trident and a shadow, but ended up being a lot closer to the shadow than to the trident. So it's a much more accessible weapon that you can use at the Whisper, which gives you a lot closer to that, you know, DPS check, and does give you that feeling of progression in this, you know, the progression of the items you use to kill this boss, than this huge jump of, like, if you don't have a shadow, you might as well not do it at all. Sorry, long tangent there. But the Whisper fight, I love the environment. You know, it's obviously very, you know, HP Lovecraft inspired. It's like this, you know, this dark entity who's like cursed, but you have these like tentacles coming out and everything's all dark, and you're flirting with madness and your sanity, which is, you know, just everything about it is just dripping in Lovecraft. And I love all of that. You know, the fight itself, I do. So there's, you know, we talk about how jagex goes in these phases, right, of these mechanics, and, you know, and mechanics in all different senses, like they're experimenting with the drop mechanics of multiple drops, and that's something I dislike. And another mechanic that I don't really enjoy, that is coming up in a lot of these bosses we're going to talk about. Two of them we're talking about today, and more in the future, is this. I'm trying to think of the best way. I think I labeled it as like programmed attacks or programmed prayers, however you want to think about it, where the boss will present you with their next like few attacks. You'll know what their next few attacks are, and they'll come at you in a line. And we'll see much more clearly with Leviathan, and you get that with Doom, you get that with the Mana Core. And it's this idea of, you see what the attacks are going to be, and then when they launch, you have to do them in like quick succession, like one tick between these prayers. And it's this interesting mechanic because it's not about, with Leviathan more than like Manticore or Doom, it's less about reacting as it is, you know it's coming, but you have to execute on it. I don't enjoy that mechanic very much, but I like it better with Whisper because it keeps it very simple. If you know the boss, you know that it's going to be, you know, 2 of one and 1 of the other, or it's going to be 1 of one, 1 of the other, back to, you know, it's going to be back and forth. And you kind of, it's a lot less like reading the screen and then executing, and more of just like knowing the pattern. And I feel like with Whisper, it works better. And another thing, sorry to harp on these things where Jagex's head is at with mechanics, but another I really find interesting, starting with Toa, and I think going forward, Jagex did such a better job of integrating sound into boss fights. I really think Toa was the start, and they have. I love that. As someone who plays with game sounds, I think that you're going to limit yourself significantly with PvM if you don't play with game sounds. And it existed before that, but with Toa, and going forward, they made a significant step towards adding game sounds into the fights in a way that would help you in these intense mechanics. And with Whisper, that was like trying to follow it visually, what was going on was such a struggle for me. But when I started listening there's a sound when the projectile hits you and you know that you're clear to pray the next thing. Obviously, it's not that procedural. It happens very quickly, but you hear that like boom, 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 and you know to switch your prayers. And I love that about bosses like that where you have this audio cue because you're in RuneScape combat, you're using your hands, you're using your eyes so much for different things, eating, moving around, and all this stuff, that having that audio cue frees your eyes and your hands up and takes a little bit of the load off of that and lets you use another one of your senses, which is really cool. And I think it's such a helpful PvM tip, is to use the game sounds that basically every boss after Toa will say. Some of the bosses before, but not nearly as much. And I love that.
It's great.
And I guess the last thing with Whisper, I like the jumping between the Shadow Realm. I think maybe your annoyance would be alleviated if they just had one spawn right outside the boss. So if you forget it, but it is a cool idea. And obviously, as a Yu-Gi-Oh kid, I love that they call it the Shadow Realm. But this thing between balancing your sanity and like the longer you stay in the Shadow Realm, it drains your sanity, and just that whole, once again, that Lovecraftian thing of like you're going insane, you're trying to just eke out the kill before you lose your mind. I love all of that about the Whisperer.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. Anything else to add before we move on to our third of our 4 Desert Treasure 2 bosses?
No.
Cool. Next one is Vardorvis. Very similar to Whisper in sense of lore, but pretend instead of the Shadow Realm, he gets bit by like, what is it called? The Strangled or something like that. The Strangler, and becomes like this weird zombie looking thing. Looks badass, by the way. Looks quite cool. And this fight is a lot more like, I guess, I'm trying to think like what sets this fight unique. There's a lot going on in this fight. It's a bit of a butt clencher. When I say it's a butt, I have that in my notes, butt clencher. And I just mean that like there's a lot of things thrown at you that like sometimes I'm just kind of like hoping I'm quick enough to turn my prayer on and move away from the axes and watch out for the spikes on the ground.
We're saving kind of overall till the end, but I think that all 4 of the Desert Treasure 2 bosses have a great sense of like a climax, like an enrage. They all have this enraged phase, but I do agree with you. Whisper and Leviathan have the biggest like intense enraged phase, to the point where it's like significantly more difficult to finish the fight off at the last 10 to 20%.
Well, Leviathan, we're gonna get to it, but Leviathan's a weird one because the enraged phase it's a butt clencher, but anyways, there's a buff where you can do more damage, so you can like really rip through it if you're doing it well. Whereas Vardorvis, not so much.
We're talking about Vardorvis. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought we were talking about Leviathan. Oh, my bad.
But there is so much coming. They're similar in the sense that they both have. I feel like there's so much coming at you that can feel overwhelming. And I have on my way to 100 KC with Vardorvis, and I got the Soul Reaper axe. I'm like, I got to test it out somewhere. This is the fight for it, and it just I'm constantly you know what? It makes me feel like I'm getting old for this game because I'm not reacting quick enough. Like I don't know what it is about the fight, but I don't sit there and I go, oh, I need to get better. It's like, for some reason, sometimes I walk away from the fight being like, I'm getting too old for this game. Like my Twitch reaction timings are so much slower. Like I can't flick on the range prayer quick enough sometimes. That's how it feels, at least. I'm trying to think what else is about Vardorvis. He looks cool. I like that he's a small boy, sort of. Vardorvis is like almost the same size as you. It's a bit bigger. I think he's 2x2. He looks smaller though. Like the model is scaled down.
Oh, for sure.
Compared to the others. Short. He's a short king.
That's right.
He's like the same size as us. Trying to think. Is there anything else that we want to mention about Vardorvis? Oh, I love the sound. Talk about sound effects. Turn the sound on just so you can hear the when he whips you. It sounds awesome.
Do you want to talk about the CAPTCHA? I feel like you've talked in the past about how much you like that.
Oh, yeah. Let me. I have some point for notes. I was planning on going through them before we smash or pass, but that was one of them.
Okay.
It's got. No, this would be a great time to talk about it. It has like a clicking puzzle in it where, like, as you're fighting, you get these blood clots, like these little bubbles on your screen. You got to click them, and then you can attack again. And I have it as both a positive and a negative. One, I like it because it's unique. Like I don't think we have anything else like that in the game where it's like a separate puzzle pops on your screen that you have to do, or what you call it, a captcha. You gotta click the things in time. But it's also my negative because it's like it's cool. But like something about it feels, I don't know. It's like, it doesn't, I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. It doesn't go with the rest of the fight or something like that. Like something about it just feels a bit off, even though I like it because it's novel. It just, in this particular fight, I don't know. But I don't know. Any thoughts of that mechanic specifically?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's like out of nowhere. But the weird thing about it is that when Vardorvis came out, everybody was talking about like how good it was. They loved that part of the fight. And I haven't really seen anything negative about it. I've always seen people bring it up as like a fun mechanic. And I'm shocked that it hasn't popped its head up anywhere else in the game. I always thought that it would be a great like thieving mini game, like a great way of doing like lock picking.
Oh yeah, interesting. That's cool.
Or, like, I feel like it could really work in skilling, and obviously doing that over and over for a long time would probably get old. But if it was like, if you were thieving something and you get to the vault at the end and that's how you do the vault or something.
GE vaults. The vaults of Grand Exchange. That would be sweet.
But yeah, no, I think it's a cool mechanic, but I completely understand that it feels like it comes out of nowhere.
And you know what? Like I think maybe a part of why people like it is because it does add this. People love when you can like figure out your own mechanics, like strategies. Like there's things that jagex, when they're creating a boss, they expect you to do, but it's always fun. And what RuneScapers love is when they figure out ways around it, or like little cheats to like optimize. And I know that this puzzle has one where like you can eat. There's a way to eat during it, and you can pull off an extra hit without it. With like, so you can heal up and then still pull off an instant hit once the puzzle goes down. Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. So maybe like being able to like one of those things where when you do pull it off, you're like, oh yeah, that's what I call PvMing, I'm doing a PvM clan now. I know what's up.
Yeah. And I feel like it might be worth mentioning just for people who aren't like super knowledgeable in the game, or maybe took as long as me. I didn't know until Vardorvis about the way that your attack cooldown works. So I was so confused because I would do the CAPTCHA puzzle and I would always, and I still do, I always eat during that, because it's kind of like a free time to eat because you can't attack unless you pull off your super giga move. But I was confused by, I would eat during the CAPTCHA puzzle, and the second it was over, the ticket was over, I could hit Vardorvis, and I was like, but I just ate. And so I learned about how, and so just to explain it for people who don't know how that works. So when you eat food, there is a cooldown before you can attack again. Generally, it's 4 ticks if you just eat like hard food or whatever. And one of the reasons why Ceradomin brews are so pervasive throughout PvM is because they're a potion and they don't have an attack cooldown. But that is from the time you eat your food to the time. The cooldown is from the last time you attacked to the next time you attack. So if you attack and you eat food, you have that cooldown. But if you haven't attacked in a while and then you eat, it's still from your last attack. So you can eat and then attack immediately. It's based off of your previous attack, not off of it's not like cold turkey from eating the food to attacking. So I hope I kind of explained that well. But essentially, if you're ever in a situation, Duke also has a lot of times like this, like when he does his freeze attack, where there's downtime, you can eat food and attack immediately afterwards because it's based on your previous attack, not on the direct correlation of eating food to attacking. So sorry, I hope somebody out there learned from that, because I didn't know that until I did Vardorvis, and I was like, why can't I just eat and immediately attack? And somebody had to break it down for me.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I think that's probably why. Yeah, it's neat when you can pull off stuff like that. You feel good. Cool. Anything else before we move on to the final of the 4 bosses?
I mean, it wouldn't be fair for me to not endlessly complain about my luck, my drops at Vardorvis, but we will get to that later. A couple things I will say. I love Vardorvis as well. Duke and Vardorvis are my favorite fights from DT2. The reactionary thing, it can be so overwhelming, like you were saying, and it is such a what do they call that? Negative loop, downward spiral of
death spiral.
Death spiral, yes, thank you. When you start making mistakes, they just get worse and worse and worse. You get out of the rhythm, you can die so fast at Vardorvis. And you just kind of have to, it's one of those bosses you just expect to die going in. It's one of the bosses in the game where you can be at 1,000 KC and still die, incrementally. Like obviously it'll happen less, but there's some bosses you just you're never going to die again at. And Vardorvis is one where you can just, you let your guard down for a second and you can die, or you can get stacked out and be playing really well and die.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And you just kind of expect that going in.
And it's got this weird mechanic where, and I think it might be the only one that has it, where like as his hit points goes down, his defense goes down, but his strength goes up. Is that right? Like the more damage you do, the defense goes down, but the strength goes up. So you get to do more damage, but he's going to do more damage. Or is it the opposite?
No. Yeah, he's like the ultimate berserker build where, the lower his health gets, the stronger he gets, but the lower defense he has. So,
which probably adds to the, why does the enraged phase feel so hard? Well, everything's going faster. Plus, if you're not hitting it, he's hitting you, and it's going to be hurt. It's going to hurt.
He's hitting like constant 7s through prayer. And so, and I will, one small thing, sorry, I keep going off on these tangents about all of the bosses. Another mechanic that is pervasive through the DT2 bosses that a lot of people complained about is they are rotten with chip damage, especially Vardorvis and Duke. That was another thing that was really happening a lot in the bosses of this time was chip damage. So you can do perfect kills and still take 50 damage throughout the kill just from the chip damage. And Vardorvis, more than any of them, is the one where it's the most like detrimental because you're taking a cumulative, you're taking 5s and 7s through prayer, even though you're doing everything perfectly. So you're going to be low health or mid health, even if you're doing everything right. So when you do make a mistake, it's even more lethal.
Yeah, that's he's a doozy. I love how the others strangled in the area. They all run and they sprint at you. It's very intense.
Oh yeah,
not so much about the boss fight itself. Yeah, it's a cool area. My favorite of them. Okay, well, I guess we can move on to the final of the 4, which is the Leviathan.
Now we're talking about Leviathan.
What's that?
Now we're talking about Leviathan.
Yeah, now we're talking about Leviathan. Basically the area, all this area takes place in this area called like the Scar. You have to go through the Guardians of the Rift area. It's all these like interdimensional planes you have to cut through. And then you end up in this Scar area that it's like this abyssal portal and there's like abyssal creatures, but Leviathan used to be this like giant serpent just out in the Eastern Ocean. Which is like, that's where like the nightmare comes from. That's where actually the whisper comes from, because the whisper was like a siren. So it came from the Eastern area. So anyways, this thing ended up getting dragged into this abyssal Scar thing. And I guess it got corrupted. So this is one that's like wasn't actually a Zerosian like leader or anything like that. It was just some serpent, but it got caught up in a battle that had to do with the the Battle of the Eye is what they call it. If you do Guardians of the Rift, like you'll learn a little bit about that lore too, because it's also trying to prevent the abyssal demons from coming through the portal. It's cool. All these things kind of get connected. We used to do a lore segment on the podcast, but really it was like an excuse for me to learn about the lore, and I thought it was really cool. But I have so much fun like talking about the lore only because I get to learn a little bit more about it. And then get it all wrong, I'm sure, but whatever. It's the Dill's interpretation. So yeah, this boss, it's like how Zulrah in the way where it's like coming out of the water. It doesn't move though, and you're basically just running around in circles. And it's like how you mentioned where it has like these predictable, like it's gonna shoot these orbs at you in whatever color it is. Just got to pray, but you got to turn it on before it hits you. Like it has like the newer style. But Leviathan will continuously speed up and shoot them at you faster. And if Vardorvis was a butt clencher, this entire fight is a butt clencher because it feels so fast. And like it looks harder than it is, at least for me. Like it feels hard, but then I'm able to like block most of it. So it feels pretty good. And one thing that's kind of cool is you get to set your own pacing. Like you really control the speed of this fight in the sense that the Leviathan will keep speeding up and shooting these orbs at you they got to pray against. And it just keeps getting faster and harder because it adds whatever. Whenever it feels like too much for you, you just have to run around to behind Leviathan and then you got to shoot him in the back. You do a lot of damage and it's going to stop attacking you and it resets how fast it was attacking you. I like that. Like that's really cool. Like you just set the pace of the fight, but you don't want to cancel out Leviathan attacking you because it never goes back to the slowest speed. It always goes back to like one speed higher than what it started at. So if you reset it too much, it's going to default at a really fast speed. And the enraged phase I mentioned, it's got a little bit of a different thing going on because it attacks really fast and you have to pray, but there's this orb that's going around the arena. And if you can stay inside the orb, you do like extra damage. So if you have like a crossbow, which is a wilderness weapon, but it's got a special attack where you shoot a bunch of attacks. Because of the buff you get at the end of the fight, it will like one hit Leviathan. Like it does so much damage. It feels pretty cool. But that whole phase at the end, the enraged section, it feels like too much is going on. That's my thing with the fight. The whole fight feels like there's like too much going on for me. Whereas Vardorvis, I felt that at the end mostly, but throughout the fight it feels okay. Leviathan, it always feels like, oh shit, my God, like here it comes. Yeah, what else is there to say about Leviathan? It looks awesome. I think the boss looks so cool, but yeah.
So I've been saving all my negativity for the end. I do not like Leviathan. It's by far my least favorite of the DT2 bosses. Starting out from, I've talked about with DT2 when we first talked about it, how there's the part in the quest where you see the names of the 4 bosses. And I did it day 1, so I had no knowledge of what they were going to be. And seeing the Leviathan, and part of like, my upbringing in the church and stuff, that's a big, like, it's like a biblical creature, the Leviathan.
I didn't know that.
And so I was expecting this like enormous like whale creature or I don't know. I was expecting more, and I find it kind of disappointing that it's just like an anglerfish snake.
Yeah.
And it kind of suffers from the Ulm thing. Where you're seeing the top of it, and I'm assuming the idea is that something much, much bigger is beneath the surface. Or
I think if you
kind of
look
the same
around
way.
the arena, you can see other parts of the Leviathan in the water.
Okay.
So it is supposed to be like a big creature, and you're only like attacking it's long, maybe not. It's longer than it is.
It's very like Loch Ness Monster. You can see like coming out of the water and stuff. But I don't know. I was disappointed because, like the word Leviathan, like literally means like big. And I know that, it's like really long, but I was expecting just this massive creature. I don't know. I found the arena and everything just very bland, and I did not like the visuals at all. The boss fight, so it's funny with this game because there's only one way I can put it, is the boss fight just has never clicked for me. And, with Vardorvis clicked for me. And some people struggle way more with Vardorvis than they do with Leviathan, or Whisper is the same way. And Whisper was one that I struggled with for a long time, and I could feel that click. And I've never felt that click with Leviathan. It always feels like I don't know when to stun him, and nothing feels right. I always feel like it's off, and I haven't dedicated, like really put my nose to the grindstone of learning Leviathan and like really getting it down to where it feels, kind of like much easier. And so, for that reason, it's just I never wanted to go there. The only appeal of really going there is that at least when it first came out, it was the only place where a Bofo was best in slot. It was even better than T-Bow. I don't think that's true anymore, but I don't know. It was just this thing of like, hey, I have a Bofa and I don't have a T-Bow. And this is the only place where that's actually better. But yeah, the fight, and I really don't. I think every instance of it, I don't like the very quick reactionary prayers. And like I said, with Whisper, it's completely different because Whisper is predictable, whereas Leviathan is you're seeing them come out and you're having to react to them one by one. And yes, it's very true. I should just get good, but I just find that mechanic unfun, and obviously I find it very difficult as well.
It's tough. You got to look away from the attacks to look at your prayers to switch, and then you got to look back. Like, yeah. Like you can't just like, if it maybe might feel better, like if you could hotkey your prayers and you're switching between 1, 2, and 3 or whatever it is.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to get in trouble.
Maybe one day. But yeah, the one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is it shoots these orbs at you and they're like green, blue, and red, but it's like, I don't know, what is it? Yeah. Just magic orbs? Generic magic orbs. Like
I knew you were going to bring this up. You've always hated the melee attack being a projectile.
Well, it's not so bad here. If this was Fable, I complain about Fable because we talked about it earlier with the dogs, Fable 2. They switched up all the colors of the different combats. So like green was melee, like blue was range, and red was magics. I hated that. At least jagex gets it right with the color schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? When we get to Yama, change, like whoever, don't. Red is, why is the purple attack range? It's dumb. Purple's never a ranged attack. Should always be mage. Whatever. But yeah, just these weird like orbs with like stars in them. And it's like, I don't know. For a Leviathan with all these like sharp teeth, he never tries to bite you or anything like that. It's just like shooting rocks at you. Like, what is this? Like freaking tonsil stones? What's going on here? The fight is cool though. I think it's a really well designed fight, but I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Now, should we go and let's talk about the umbrella topics that apply to all of these Desert Treasure 2 bosses? It's the uniques. That's what I'm talking about. Should we talk about how the uniques are done in these bosses?
Yeah, I do want to, I guess just to kind of transition and kind of close up with all 4 of them, just with one thing I want to say is one of my favorite things about Desert Treasure 2 is what we've talked about here today, I think is a great evidence of it. And it's so cool how Desert Treasure 2 bosses, the 4 bosses, everybody has, if you talk to people and you say, what's your favorite and what's the most difficult, you will get different answers, which I think is cool. I love that about it. Everybody has it, like every one of the 4 bosses is somebody's favorite of the 4. And I have even seen, I believe it was Mr. No Sleep. When the quest came out, he struggled the most with Duke. And, no shame to him, but just to say, every one of the 4 bosses, like our brains work different. Things click in ways for people that other things don't. And it was really cool seeing how people were struggling so much with one over the other when the quest came out, and now obviously grinding them. But yeah, we'll get some more of the overall. Sorry, but I just it's cool. It's really cool how you like the fight. I don't like the fight. And I know that's all the different bosses, but I don't know. It's just cool with how these 4 bosses came out, and they were so varied and different and interesting in different ways.
Subjective. It's like, yeah, it's great. They're different vibes. It's different vibes, and yeah, I'm sure there's a time where you feel one boss over the other. Now, some of the umbrella things, like these things apply to all the bosses. I guess first we can say you fight them all in the quest the first time, and then once you complete the quest, you can farm them. The other mechanic that's pretty unique is if you can do a perfect kill where you avoid all the avoidable damage, your loot gets increased. You get better loot. There's also there's an awakened variant of all 4 of these. And as you're killing them, you get these orbs that you can then use or sell them. But the orbs are used to fight an awakened version of each boss, like a very hard one. And if you complete all 4 of them, then you can get your blood Torva. So Torva, which comes from Nex, it doesn't even come from here, but you get a cool recolor, which makes it look like red and black, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty badass. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that applies besides the unique. I guess the other thing is each of these bosses, they're kind of attached to the different the ancient magic spells. So, you have shadow, you have blood, you have ice, and then you have, what's the third one? Oh my God. Smoke. You have smoke. So you have the 4 of them. Each one of them, they're going to drop like an orb that you use in your ancient scepter, and it's going to give you like some buffs to that style. So if you get the blood gem, that's going to help with your blood magic. So each one of them has something different. And then besides that, they all have a chance of dropping Virtus. So, which is a mage set. It's just below Ancestral, the second best. Virtus is the second best, just below Ancestral, which is the best. So there's, the 3 pieces there. Then each one of them are going to drop a piece that you need one of each piece from the boss to create an axe, a Soul Reaper axe. And then also each one of them has a ring unique that you need to basically, what is it? You get, you got to roll it 3 times. So it's like instead of putting 3 items together to make it, you get, whenever you see a gold ring, that means you rolled the unique ring. So you got to roll the gold rings twice. So when you see 2, you'll see 1 gold ring, and then the next time you'll see 2 gold rings, and then you're 1 away from getting that 3rd roll, which would give you the ring. And these rings are upgrades to the Dagonoth version. So there is an upgrade to the range ring, the mage ring, and then they have like a strength ring, and then like a slash accuracy, but it has some strength as well ring. Anyways, it's kind of like a controversial subject because a lot, like I went through them. A lot of them, you have to get these pieces or these phantom drops, quote unquote, before you get the real thing. How do you feel about that?
Oh, you know how I feel about it, but
you don't like it, do you?
No. I just want to go back to when you're talking about their unique mechanics that go across. The introduction of the perfect kill mechanic, I think, is a really cool idea, and the crucial aspect of it is, so if you do a perfect kill, which doesn't mean you take no damage, because like I said, they do a lot of chip damage, but if you don't fail any of the mechanics, then you have an increased drop chance on the common loot table, which is the crucial difference. It does not increase your unique chance. So if you do mess up the boss, you're just missing out on some GP. You don't feel like you just screwed yourself out of one of the vestiges or something, which I do think is like a crucial thing. So getting into the drops. So Virtus is second best behind Ancestral, but is best in slot. It gets a huge buff if you're using ancient magics with it, which is a really cool concept. And I still, going back, I know I said this before, but I still think it's silly that they didn't add an elemental version of Virtus to the Raids 4 drop table. And they they kind of said like, oh, this was too obvious, so we're not doing it because it's too obvious. And I thought that was weird. But I would love to see that. I know I love things that bring standard spellbook, not like the standard spellbook, but that bring like traditional spell casting out of a spellbook more into the meta as opposed to powered staves. So I love that about Virtus. Virtus is rare as hell. And I think the idea was for Virtus, because it drops from all the bosses, I think the idea was that the rates were kind of balanced around if you're doing all 4 of the bosses to get the vestige drop and not to one individual. You're not meant to get all 3 pieces from one boss that you grind out, for a vestige. It's kind of meant to be spread out. And so that's why it's so rare. The quartzes that they drop for the upgrades to the Ancient Scepter is, as of a couple weeks ago, actually super good. A couple of them are, because part of the summer sweep up changes is that the Ancient Scepter has been boosted to a plus 10% magic damage. So it's comparable to a lot of the big boy weapons. So specifically the Blood Scepter that you get from with the quartz from Vardorvis gives you this overhealing effect to your Ancient Scepter, which once again is Ancient Staff, and then you get the Ancient Icon from Phantom Muspah, and then you get the Blood Quartz from Vardorvis, which is Upgradescape, and I love it. But that is now almost, I want to say best in slot Inferno for healing. If not, I mean, maybe not best in slot, but like really, really good and really attainable on a upper mid-level account. And
it's great everywhere. I want to use it at like Armadillo, doing the Armadillo boss, and like Krill. I'm like, oh, I wish I had one of these. Yeah, it's really good. The one that I was kind of surprised I haven't seen in more like metas and stuff is the one from Duke, which is increases the chance that you'll freeze something. I always thought that was going to be for places like General Grardor or Muspah, where people sometimes try to freeze them, but then don't because they splash so often. But I never see that mentioned in those bosses. So I'm assuming that just means the freeze chance is not as good as you would hope. Interesting. I bring mine, but it's the only gem I have. So if I had the Blood Quartz, I might swap them out more often.
The Soul Reaper Axe drop, just not the item itself, but the way it drops is it's hard. It's a cool idea. I think I get what they're going for. They want to make it an Iron Man thing. Like they want mains to feel like irons, where they can get their 4 items that are untradeable and then combine them into this weapon. And it also artificially, I don't know. I'll say artificially inflates the price because you can't make it until you have all 4 pieces. So it's a lot rarer in the game. But my opinion of that is that mains chose to be mains. And Iron Man choose to be Iron Man. So I don't think that they should be untradeable. I get that what they're going for, and I think it is more about inflating the price of the items to make it, as valuable as it is good. But it just sucks. And the other thing is, most of the time, people are staying at these bosses until either they get the Vestige drop or the Axe piece. Right? They want to get both of those, and then they're kind of done with the boss and they move on. And, it's RNG, and you have 4 different bosses with RNG. So you're going to go dry at one of them, and you're going to get spooned at another one. So what you have is like 7 of one axe piece from the boss that you went dry on the Vestige for. But then you have this other boss that you spooned the axe piece at. And so then you always have this like uneven number of axe pieces. And, people are 99.9% of people are only ever going to make one Soul Reaper axe if they make one at all. And so you're always just going to have these bank fillers of axe pieces because you don't want to get rid of it. It's rare as hell.
Yeah.
And so it's this weird thing where and the other thing I remember a lot when the quest first came out is like streamers and content creators, you heard this a lot. They would get the axe piece and they would say, I don't know what to do. Do I go to a different boss or do I stay for the Vestige? And it was, that feels bad too. You don't know where you're supposed to go. What's the most efficient?
Especially because you're like, oh, I got my axe piece, but I got one of the gold rings. I'm kind of on my way to the Vestige, which is the, upgrades into the ring. Like the perfect world is you get the Vestige and then you have one Soul Reaper drop.
Yeah.
Then there's like, I've been killing Duke. I get the Vestige, and I got 2 pieces of the Soul Reaper axe now. And I'm like, well, I hope I get spooned 2 pieces from every boss because I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine trying, yeah.
Like you're not going to unless you go out of your way to get an equal number of them from every boss, and that could be 500 kills at one of them and 5,000 kills at another one of them. Yeah, and it's just weird. And I feel like all of these problems I'm bringing up would be solved by just making the pieces tradable. And maybe, once again, maybe you can have a super high smithing requirement to combine them, to forge the axe all together or something, whatever it is, to have that kind of, you need to be somewhat of an established, your account has to be somewhat progressed to be able to access this weapon or something. But, or you have to, you have to have at least killed each one of them post quest one time or something. Which is a little small thing. You do have to have, I believe, completed the quest and maybe even killed the specific boss to equip any of the ring upgrades, which is cool.
Interesting. Yeah, that is cool.
I like that. Okay, so let's get to the vestiges. So first off, once again, I love Upgradescape, and I love that these are upgrades to the DK rings from the Dagonoth King rings that they drop, and they took them from being kind of flittering into dead content. The Berserker ring was the only useful one, to almost every one of them has a purpose and a use, some more than others, but I love that. And it brought some fresh life to the game. You know, for a while, even like the Archer's ring and the Seer's ring were like over 1 mil. I think they've dropped back down now, but it was cool to see that. But we have to talk about the gold rings, because once again, so what, for people who weren't around back then, what happened was when the bosses first came out, you know, obviously hundreds of thousands of people were doing it the first day. And there started to be this, like, people were kind of questioning, like, why haven't we seen any clips of people getting day one drops of these vestiges? There's been no like spoon drops. Like, people were getting 1 KC pets. They were getting 1 KC Virtus, but nobody was getting these vestiges.
I forgot about people didn't know what was going on with the rings at first.
Yeah, and so
you know now that it takes 3 rolls to get them, but no one knew that on day one.
It wasn't until 1 or 2 weeks later that jagex, after people had confronted them about it, they said something's going on here. Jagex revealed that to get the vestige drop, you had to first roll on this invisible table to get these invisible rolls before you got the final roll. So it was like, for simplicity of numbers, you would get a 1 in 300 roll, and then you had to get another 1 in 300 roll, and then finally you'd get the vestige. And so, you know, it became this meme of like, oh, I guess I'm 2 out of 3. You know, whenever somebody was dry, you'd say, oh, you're surely 2 out of 3. And I didn't love it, but at least you still maintained that feeling when you finally got the drop. It just came out of nowhere, and you got the jingle, you saw this big loot beam, and you got the big drop all in one. And for some reason, I still don't understand. People were asking for it. I don't get it. They made it so that they changed it because of requests from the player base to make the ring rolls visible. So you would see, I got 1 ring roll. Oh, I got 2 ring rolls. And so now we're right back where we were with Phantom Muspah, where now I know that I'm not going to, it is literally impossible for me to get the drop I want this kill, which once again, I just feel is so anti the feeling of old school RuneScape for me personally. I hate it so much. And to those who are in the clan, who know me in game, yes, obviously this is because I am so obscenely dry at Vardorvis. So I hit 1500 KC at Vardorvis without a single ring roll. And that is over 5 times dry for a single ring roll, which in a vacuum, 5 times dry in RuneScape is not unheard of. It kind of is what it is. But the psychological toll of being 5 times dry for 1/3 of the drop and the first third of the drop. So knowing that I could go to 2,000 kills and finally get the ring roll, and then it could be 2,000 kills before my next one, and then 2,000 more kills, and I finally get the drop, which is it's a good drop, but it's not like the best drop in the game. And it's like knowing that, as opposed to going 6,000 kills the whole time saying, oh, it could be anyone. It's just such a difference psychologically. I cannot. I have to stop talking. I hate it so much. It's just the worst thing ever.
It's very controversial, and it is. As we're going through, it's kind of interesting to see all the ways that jagex is kind of, attempting to mitigate this dry protection. They don't, because people feel bad when they go as dry as you are. You're not supposed to go that dry with this new method. So yeah, that's what they're hoping at least.
You never hear about people getting crazy spooned on vestiges, but you hear a lot about people going crazy dry. So I feel like whatever the whole statistics thing, all the probability, I feel like it didn't work. But
psychologically, it's probably has more negatives because, I get that. Well, I guess with that being said, should we go through each of the 4 bosses again and then give our smasher pass?
Hell yeah.
Or are we missing? The only thing I wanted to talk, I guess, to mention about the uniques that we were talking about. Soul Reaper Axe, love it. One of my favorite weapons in the game. I'm sad they buffed it, which sounds weird to say. They removed the healing thing. I'm so sad about that.
I know. Hey, I thought of you this morning when I watched that video. They mentioned, Mod Kieran mentioned how they finally got the Soul Reaper axe into a place where people enjoyed using it. And I thought about you. I was like, not everybody.
Yeah, it's way less fun. But anyways, it's fine. It's just, it hits hard. So that's good. And then there's Virtus. I think it looks pretty bad. I think it looks... you look like you've got a mustache, like an evil villain mustache. Like, I think the Virtus set looks terrible. I'm a huge hater of it. So much so that like when it was one of my last armor upgrades. Like as I'm moving up the tiers, I really didn't want to, go from Arams to Virtus because I was like, it's going to look so much worse in my opinion. So not a fan of that, but hey, I think
mage armor is so hard because the traditional like feeling of mage armor is like these robes, which are not cool looking. And, it's kind of like, it's like a dress and like, you get up to Ancestral where you got these cool pants. And I was so glad Blue Moon, you get the pants and yeah, no hate to people who like wearing dresses, but it looks so much cooler with Ancestral and with Blue Moon. That I agree. The bottoms and the helmet. I like the chest. I think the chest is cool, and that's not just because that's the only piece I have, but it does. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's hard because when you think of Magic, when you think of Wizards, you do think of these flowing robes. But every time they have it in the game, it just I don't know. It feels lame compared to the other armor sets.
They nailed it with Ancestral, though. I love.
Oh, Ancestral's so cool.
It's so good.
I don't know why it's so cool, but it is.
Yeah, it's great. They did a good job. All right. Well, anyways, let's go back to Duke Succulus. I didn't even mention all these bosses came out July 26, 2023. And funny enough, these are only the bosses we're going to see in 2023 are the ones we talked about in this episode. So back to Duke Succulus. He's gross as hell. Love it. Pro. The uniques are cool. What the hell? Sorry, that's a very vague note. I wrote these notes a long time ago. I update them as we go. Clearly, I don't know what does uniques are cool mean. Anyways, the fight itself is cool. I love that it so directly teaches you about flinching and like the timing of attacks and stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of that. This is going to apply to all the bosses, but I like how they all come from like this big quest where you're, encountering them in the quest itself. That's a pro for all of them. The negatives is the DT, all the bosses that we talked, they have weird loot mechanics, just like what we're talking about. They're not very straightforward. And even like Virtus, like they're so rare. So it's like, it almost feels like it's done in a way as the other pieces of loot. Like I don't even think about seeing Virtus when I'm grinding out Duke. I'm there for everything else because I'm probably not going to see the Virtus. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
For Duke Succulus, the prep was lame, but I do like it the way it is now. So it's kind of like, I guess this is in the middle. I do like it now. And there's this one achievement. It's called like Cold Feet or something. Mm-hmm. That pissed me off. So that's a negative. I tried so hard to get it done, and yeah, it's so hard.
Which one is that?
It's the one where you can't run. You have to walk the whole time.
Oh, okay, right.
And what makes it tough is that you're dodging. You have to dodge the slams, but you have to dodge Duke Succulus, King of the Slams. Sorry, I had to. I just thought of that right now. And you can't run, which makes it so much harder because you got to run from one side to the other usually, and you can't take damage. Like you got to do it perfectly. So that one's tough. All right, what do you think? Pro Smash Pass? Any things you want to debrief on before?
You forgot the most important thing about Duke, which is #1 best pet in the game. Oh. Not even close. I'm looking at it on my main right now.
It's called Baron.
I love it. Absolute smash on Duke. Although it's better DPS if you stab, but I love Duke. I want to say top 5 bosses in the game for me. And I know that's like cringe to a lot of people. I don't care. Duke is so enjoyable and that's fine. Mm-hmm. Smash.
Yeah, I'm a smash as well. Very great boss. Another negative though is I was looking on the wiki, and so they made the Fang used to be really good at Duke. Jagex was like, we don't want the Fang to be good at Duke, so they nerfed it so it wasn't good anymor.
Oh, and Vardorvis.
Yeah, but the wiki said the second best in slot was like the Blade of Saldor. What is it called? Blade of Saldor, whatever it's called. The Elven Blade. So instead of making a Bofa, you make the sword. So I got that. I was excited to use it, and then, anyways, it turned out the zombie axe was way better than the than the 120 mil item I just bought. That a 2 mil item was better, and I corrupted it right away, which means I spent an extra 15 mil to make it have unlimited ammo and to change its color. So that was annoying. And then I had this, it was like it was my most expensive like melee weapon for a while, and I had nowhere to use it. The only other place, I had to start doing Tob because it was the only other place I could actually bring it. And I was like, I gotta get some mileage out of this. So,
can I say Duke, one small negative? Yep. Yes. One small negative to Duke, because you're talking about weapons, because I was just thinking that this podcast isn't long enough. One really annoying thing about Duke is it's a demon. You're talking about weapons used against it. It is a demon. But they put a cap on, they nerfed the Demon Bane damage against it. So if I'm not mistaken, it's only 60% efficacy of Demon Bane weapons against Duke, which is so weird. I think when Desert Treasure 2 came out, that was the time when the Scythe was the lowest it had ever been. And nice. Because people were using the Fang at both Duke, it was better DPS than the Scythe at both Duke and Vardorvis. And because they didn't want other weapons, which would, at the time would have been the Arclight, to be best in slot there, they nerfed it to be only, I believe, 60% of the bonus from Demon Bane, which I hate when they do stuff like that. Obviously, like you've complained about, there's nothing in the game that tells you that. So you just have to know that, or you're just like, man, my weapon's not hitting as good as it usually does.
Yeah. There's Mad Season's been doing this YouTube series where he's a World of Warcraft player coming into RuneScape, but playing this game completely blind. And if you watch this series, it's very good. I recommend it. But he constantly is like, how the heck am I supposed to know this? Or where am I supposed to get this information from? Like, so much stuff is left out of the game, and you're like, expect to go on the wiki. But okay, let's move on to the next botch, which is the Whisperer. I got small notes for this one, my least done boss, but the vibe is very cool. I do like the whole Shadow Realm thing, like the vibe of it, and the whole area, and the vibe of the fight. And I like that you get to use magic for this one. Like each fight kind of lets you use a different combat styles. And so this one's the mage one. So that's cool. But I don't like how you have to use that tool, the crystal thingy. For whatever reason, that stood out to me as my big negative. Anyways, what are you going to do? You're going to smash, or is it a pass?
No, I'm going to smash Whisper. I love the vibes, the Lovecrafty, creepy vibes. I love that about it. I think the Shadow Realm is a cool idea. Also underrated thing about Whisper is just it's pretty much a mage only fight, which I feel like is of the three combat styles, it's the rarest to have a fight that's primarily mage. Obviously that changes a little bit when you're shadowing things that weren't meant to be maged, but like in general, the mage is the least out of the like primarily killing this boss. So it's kind of a nice change of pace with that. And yeah, I think it's a cool fight. I would a little bit more hesitant than the other two smashes I'm going to have, but I like it. I think it's a cool fight. I will say one other negative we didn't talk about. It is a long fight. It's like 3 to 4 minutes, even when you're doing it well. Compared to Duke too, but compared to Vardorvis, which is like 90 seconds, it's a what is it? Knockout, drag out, brawl. I don't know. It's a long fight.
All right. So, but you said you're smash, just a little bit more hesitant. Yeah. I'll smash too. It's a cool boss. I have no problems with it. It's neat. I'm probably gonna smash all these, but we'll see. Vardorvis though is the next one. My notes I had here is I love the area. I love the vibe of like the NPCs. Even when you're teleporting in, you got to run through them a bit and they chase you. That's all really cool. The Vardorvis himself looks awesome. And then I like the clicking puzzle. It's super unique, but then it's also a negative in the sense that, it feels kind of random. And the other thing I don't like is even though the fights are faster, like the drop rates are kind of tuned in that way. So the items are more rare from Vardorvis because you're expected to be killing it way faster. But I will smash it because it is cool overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Vardorvis. It is, like you were saying, it's a very specific flavor. You have to be in the right mood for it. But I mean, obviously I'm 1,500 kills on this account. So like it's gotten to the point where it doesn't feel as like high tense, but my butt is not clenching nearly as much as it used to. But it is still like, it's a full focus fight, but it is, the reason I brought up Whisper is because in comparison, Vardorvis is so fast that I don't feel like I'm like worn out after one kill. Like you get that breath of, like the kill's over, I can start the next one kind of a thing. And it doesn't feel as bad to focus for that short of a time. But yeah, there's a lot of all of these bosses. There's all these just completely new mechanics. It's crazy what they can do with this game. But Vardorvis is this just pure reactionary fight, which feels pretty unique as well for the game. And I really like Vardorvis. So smash on that as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a great one. And then lastly, the Leviathan. So I have here, it's a very intense fight. It's fast and it feels fast. It's a bit of a butt clencher. You do big hits if you're like at T-bow, and I'm sure even with the Bofa, like it probably feels like the hits are higher, but especially when you're running around and at the end when you get the buff from the enrage phase. And then my negative, and this, I guess I could kind of apply this to Vardorvis, is like, I feel like it hasn't clicked yet, which is not really a fair negative to put, but like, if I never click with it, then I would say it's a pretty big negative. But right now, it feels like I've done it. I don't even know how many times, 50 times or so. And I still feel like, I don't know. It hasn't clicked yet. I haven't gotten it yet. I hope it comes.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna smash it. I honestly think it's one of the coolest fights of them, of the Awakened variants too. It looks crazy hard in a very cool way, though. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, pass. Absolutely pass. It feels like a missed opportunity. And yes, you can say this is because of my own expectations. I hear Leviathan and I'm expecting something much more grand. But putting that aside, it's my least favorite of the fights. And yes, it doesn't click for me. And so can you even call that biased? I don't know if you would call that like I'm biased against it, because I don't know. I don't enjoy it because it hasn't clicked for me in a way it has for other people. And I will say that I do think that its specific vestige is the least useful out of all of them. So I have felt the least necessity to grind it out of all of them. Even the Bellator ring from Whisper, which is the / bonus one, has more uses than the Venator ring. Although, once again, I think that's kind of changed because I think it adds a max hit with the Rupture. Anyway, not to get too into the weeds of that stuff, but there's usually, in most cases, having a light bearer with a range setup is better than the Venator ring. So it's kind of the stepchild of the vestige upgrades. So yeah, and it's like if I'm going for Virtus, then I can go to one of the other bosses. So I feel like I would really only go there for the axe piece, and I will only go there for the axe piece if I have the other three. So yeah, it's a pass. I have passed on it, and I will continue to pass on it. I've just never really liked that boss.
Yeah, it's fair. I get that. It feels stressful. Like, yeah. Okay, great. Well, we ran through the the Desert Treasure 2 bosses. We ran through the Phantom Muspah. We ran through every single boss released in 2023. Next episode, we're diving into 2024. But that one might take us a few episodes to get through that year of PvM bosses. But before we move on to you start wrapping things up, is there any last notes you wanted to say on any of these bosses that we talked about today, or anything?
Yeah, the hardest boss in Desert Treasure 2 isn't any of these 4. It's the final fight.
Which is cool. I love that.
Yeah, and that one.
You fight the Barrow. This is a spoiler, but you fight the Barrows brothers. It's fucking cool. I love that.
I once again, just to reiterate, this one quest giving these 4 bosses that are so different from each other. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches from one quest. It was such a massive W of an update. I do think that overall, Desert Treasure 2 is still the hardest PvM quest because you have to assimilate and kill 4 different bosses, 5 including the final fight. Mm-hmm. And so it is. And
even in those sections, like you got to fight. Sometimes you got to fight other demi bosses throughout it. Like, I didn't struggle with Vardorvis. I struggled with. Yeah, there's like an archaeologist person or whatever who attacks you, and that's that I struggle with that more. So it's it's a cool quest.
But I think that the Virtus drop rates they feel insane. I mean, they're damn near pet rates, but I think they intended for it you would get one full set of Virtus from doing all of the 4 bosses. So I understand where they were coming from. And I just love it. I think it's so cool, and they knocked it out of the park. They took the PvM floor of getting your quest cape so much higher. It was so above and beyond what every other quest has had for difficulty of PvM. And now with Blood Moon Rises, they just keep raising that. It's getting your quest cape is 100 times harder than it was in like 2015. But yeah, that's all I got for Desert Treasure 2.
All right. Well, next episode of the PvM Special Pass series, we'll be starting off with Scurious going into 2024. One of my notes. Okay, so I when we first did our first episode, I ran through, put all my notes in, and then as we go through, I kind of update them as I've done bosses more, or discover other things. But with Scurious, one of my negative notes is I got confused once, and that really pissed me off. I think I know what it is. I'll talk about it tomorrow, next episode. But
tomorrow,
yeah, we're a daily podcast now. You guys want more episodes? Fine, you'll get them.
Yeah, we're going daily. We have nothing to talk about anymore, but we're gonna do it anyways.
We'll just read the Reddit front page. Okay, guys, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back, and we'll be back. We'll start wrapping things up. So we did get a call in from the one and only Busco Beep. He is a friend of the show. He's written in before telling us about some of his grinding and all that stuff, and he is a part of our clan as well. So this is our message from Busco Beep.
Herb run time.
All right, that was Busco Beep. He's doing a herb run. Beep, beep. Here he goes. Busco Beep, friend of the podcast. All he does is logs in to do herb runs. All day long. That's all he's like a herb run only account. I don't know what's going on.
Have you seen his loot tab? That's what's going on. He's made over like $2 billion from it.
There's so many herb patches. You have so many teleports to them. If anything, like it's just, you can make so much money if you're just doing herb runs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we love to see it. Busco Beep, thank you so much for letting us know you're doing a herb run at this very moment. Busco Beep, I should say, Busco Beep, let us know how many herbs you got. How many herbs do you got in your tell us any like herb facts you can give us about your herb runs. Anyways, guys, we're starting fresh. If you want to call in or leave any messages, we would love to hear it. Whether it's questions or your thoughts on the episodes. Maybe you want to tell us about the Desert Treasure 2 bosses. Tell us about your dog. Whatever it is, you can call us. We have a SpeakPipe link. All that is an app that lets you leave a voice message. So you can click that link in our show notes in the description of this episode, and I think it's pretty easy to leave a message. And you can retry it if you're not happy with the delivery, I know there's a few times I'm trying to record something and it takes me like 40 minutes because I'm like, I'm not happy with that one either. Anyways, we have a clan. You guys are welcome to join. We always say like the game I think is way more enjoyable when you're hanging out with a group of others, even if you're not like social, even just hanging out and seeing other people get drops and clan broadcasts, all that stuff is sort of fun. So yeah, join a clan if you're not in one. Highly recommended. And you can always join our clan. It's Clan Wild in games. You can search that. You can also join our Discord server. There's a link in our description as well, which will bring you right to the server. And we said earlier, but we have an email, TheWildernessPodcast@gmail.com. Write in whatever it is you want to tell us. We would love to hear it. And I think that's about it. Trey, anything you want to say before we get on out of here?
No, I was trying to rip some packs before the end to get a little last second gold, but no, I just I'm loving recording the podcast, and I'm glad that we're trying to find it. I guess for everybody, we're finding a time that works better for us because we really, really, really want to record the podcast. It's not, we haven't been being like, man. So, I feel like I'm glad. I don't want to say I'm glad to be back because I feel like that's a cursed thing to say. But
you know what's crazy? Okay, so just whatever. This is the people who stuck around. You can listen about some of the behind the scenes stuff. But like when we recorded like 3 episodes in like a month, which like whatever. But for us, that was pretty good. It just life is so busy, and then I was so ready to like just continue on that, and I don't know what happened, but I just. Next thing I knew, all my weekends were now filled up. I don't know what happened. And then it was like 3 months went by and we were doing an emergency podcast episode about something. So it's crazy how it's crazy. Like we're getting old. Isn't that crazy? What's going on? But like you can just like wake up one day and suddenly whatever free time you had, like maybe like I've noticed this in the mornings, like I sometimes get like an hour of free time and then sometimes it just disappears because I'm so busy just doing stuff. Whatever are we going to do? But one thing that always stays true is good old RuneScape. It's always there for us. Yep. Cool stuff. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's about it. Let's play on our way out. Let's play a song from Desert Treasure 2. And funny enough, I guess there's like an album of the music that you can play that you can purchase even. It has a bunch of the Desert Treasure 2 songs. Oh, I lost it. 1 second. Oh, here it is. Music. There are a bunch of tracks. Let's do His Faithful Servant. So this plays at the very end of Desert Treasure 2. And it is based on an unlisted RuneScape 3 music track that plays during the fight of the Barrows brothers once they like went and updated it. A remix of it is called The Price is White, which plays during the fight against the Barrows, Rise of the Six. Interesting. That's RuneScape 3 though. All right, guys. Well, Trey, this was fun. We should do it again sometime.
Tomorrow, apparently.
All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Toodles.
Bye.
When you need to send the perfect rose bouquet, only one brand can say they've been the floral authority for 50 years. 1-800-Flowers. Why should you trust 1-800-Flowers? They hand-select every stem to ensure top quality. And with nationwide delivery, smiles and satisfaction are 100% guaranteed. And right now, when you order a dozen multicolored roses, we'll double it at no extra cost. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Order today at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.